Hi, good morning all. Welcome to another fun Saturday morning session of the CAHL Board of Governors exam prep. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. How many participants do we have on already?
A total of 23, including the committee.
Okay, excellent. And Rick, you're monitoring the chat box,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
Okay. So sorry, I'm looking away for a moment. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, good morning, welcome back. I hope that you had a good first session last week. I'm hoping that the pace at which we're providing information isn't overloading your inbox. For some of you that haven't even received information, I apologize for not blowing up your inbox. Keep communicating with me and let me know if you are or aren't getting the information. And we do have an update on a central source from whom you will be receiving the information. That should make things easier. And also, please let us know if you are not able to open any of the links or the documents that we send you. I would like to give a round of applause for the pre-recorded presentations that we're getting from Rick and Stan from CSU Chico. I think they're fabulous. They need to win an Academy Award. And those are unique to Cal. So we're very lucky to have them. And what time is it now?
It's 3 after 10.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Things are going very, very quickly. We've got a lot to cover today. Last week when we said that for the test taking tips, this isn't all about just regurgitating facts, unfortunately, for finance. It kind of is. So sorry about that. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, for the fourth time I'm saying that. I'd like to remind you who the members of the Advancement Committee are. Sherry Ambrose is I want to call her first chair of the committee. She's not able to be with us today. And Nora Powers, I'm the co-chair. Call me chair two, second chair. Rick, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself really quick?
Yeah, Rick Nerard from California State University, Chico, Health Administration Program.
And Shauna won't be able to participate with us today. Do I understand correctly? She's racing a car somewhere?
Oh.
That sounds like too much fun. Okay, and Michael?
Yeah, Michael DeCoco. I'm the Director for Laboratory and Diagnostic Services at Madera Community Hospital.
So next slide, Sachin. Okay, we'd like to do some updates and respond to some questions that we received last week. Several people have been requesting for copies of the actual slides that are in Rick and Stan's presentations. Those are actually protected and proprietary information. However, I have the next best thing. I have our former, not pre-recorded PowerPoint presentations to use as study guides, and we will begin sending those out beginning with this second session. I'll include the healthcare one in there as well. Those are what we've been using for a while, so they're pretty up to date. Actually, we keep updating them. So at least you'll have something. Future communications are going to come directly from the CAHL ACHE email address. This is Tamara's the one that's been working on making sure the registration lists are up to date and adding new registrants. We have a few new ones today, so hello. And so if your registration information is correct in Eventbrite, you should be receiving information. If you do not, please let me know ASAP, or communicate with that email address as well, achecal@gmail.com. And we'll work on getting your contact information up to date. So for anyone who needs the structured interview reference requirement fulfilled when you apply, Sherry and I want to remind you that the fellows on this committee, me, Rick, Michael, and Sherry, are available to be your structured interviewers. And the information is on the FACHE site on how to initiate that And if you have any problems with that, just reach out to one of us and we'll be happy to walk you through that and get it started for you. We're still working on a SurveyMonkey. We're hoping to send it out early next week. I'll keep you posted on the status of a SurveyMonkey. And then in a few minutes, we have a special guest, Napreet Atwal, our very own chapter. And she will be, actually she's here now. Navi, I see you're on. Rick, would you like to introduce her?
I would. So I am very, very happy to introduce Navi Atwal, who is one of my favorite people on the planet. She is a project manager at OneLink in financial technology for CAHL Permanente. She is a certified associate in project management from the Project Management Institute. The reason she's one of my favorite people is she's also one of Chico State's outstanding graduates from a few years back, and currently is pursuing her MHA at New York University. And just at our annual meeting a couple weeks ago, she received the President and Regent's Recognition Award for all the stuff she does for the chapter. So I will turn it over to Navi.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Nora, and thank you everyone for allowing me a few minutes on the agenda this morning to talk a little bit about CalCon and extend my gratitude to a few folks who are on the line with us. So just for those who may not know what CalCon is, it was our original two-day conference that was meant to happen in August of this year in the beautiful Monterey Coast. However, due to COVID, we turned things virtual. And CalCon was structured to offer face-to-face credits to the current fellows and folks like yourself who are currently pursuing their fellowship. And I want to kind of talk a little bit about what we've done so far throughout the year and what we have remaining with Cal Congress. And all of this information is available on our website, and it's regularly updated by our very own, my co-chair, Sachin, who I know is on the line with us. So just a quick summary of what we've done so far. We've offered about 3 face-to-face credits for those that are, again, current fellows and need those credits, or those like yourself who are currently on that path. And all of those credits have been free. We have about, we've offered about 4.5 qualified education credits thus far, and we have about 4.5 face-to-face credits remaining. We have a couple sessions coming up if you are interested. I know that with the limited seating, spots do run out rather quickly, so we ask you to constantly monitor your email as we release that information. So just to give you a quick overview, we have well-being for healthcare professionals coming up on October 22nd. We have bending the execution curve coming up on November 5th, and equity of care coming up on November 12th. So if you are interested in attending those sessions, and all of those sessions are 1.5 face-to-face credits each, I really recommend that you constantly monitor your email and see, look out for that communication from Tamara from that Cal ACHE email address. Again, I really want to thank all of you for allowing me a couple of minutes on your agenda to talk a little bit about Cal Congress. It's been a great success thus far, and I hope that one of you or all of you are able to join one of our sessions and enjoy the experience. Again, all of the sessions are free, and for those who are in the medical professional community, we do offer continuing education credits for those sessions as well through UC Davis. Sachin, I want to see if I missed anything. I see you're on the line.
No, you covered pretty much everything. We do appreciate all of the support, and we are glad that CAHL is able to provide not only this training for your boards, but also topics that are most relevant in the current state of industry that we are in. Thank you for your support.
Thank you again. Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Nora.
Oh, thank you. Much appreciated. Okay, Sachin, can we go ahead and get up the next screen with that subject matter? Oh, thank you for reminding me. Okay, Sherry wanted me to specifically remind everyone about our test taking tips. First of all, the relaxation, the breathing, be sure and think clearly, you know, clear thinking. Rick, my favorite tip from Rick is to read each question as the options of true, false. And he and Michael are going to discuss that today as you're analyzing the questions for finance and for the human resources section. Again, read and reread each question. Hopefully when you receive the additional sample questions from the first session, you were able to take some of the tips that we did from last week's session and apply that, and that you found it very helpful. And again, beware of the questions, all of the above, all except, only, you know, when you see only, that again, that's a limiter. So be careful about those. And we're going to get some more information later. Michael will be really a good one to give us some more tips around if you're doing it through the Prometric system, you have 6 hours and you can take breaks and you can mark your questions for review. And again, Michael can get more into that level of detail. So again, Sherry wanted us to just refresh on the tips for how to read the questions, how to take the exam. Thank you, Sachin. Okay, so as he gets the next PowerPoint up. So yeah, today's going to be finance. You know, I work in a financial analytical position in my career, and I find finance still difficult. So this will be interesting. I am going to have some additional information coming out, additional sample questions, as well as just a sheet of financial ratios that you may find helpful. And I'm going to unmute Sachin.
All right, we're going to start
Okay.
right.
Okay, can you go to the knowledge area? There we go. Thank you. Okay, so this morning, finance and human resources. Yippee. Let's go ahead and get started. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, for finance. Again, this is the most detailed portion of the BOG exam in terms of just actually needing to know your formulas, know the names of the reports, know what it is that the terms that are in the question, to understand clearly what it is that they're asking in the questions. And I also provided these as your reference for when you were listening to Stan's presentation with the financial information. So I'm hoping that you were able to use this as a guide and concentrate on what Stan was discussing. So you do need to know the knowledge of financial accounting principles that are needed to analyze and interpret financial reports. For example, which ratios to look at specifically with what you're trying to look at, what you're concerned about. Knowledge of operating budget principles, fixed versus flexible, zero-based, variance analysis. Knowledge of capital budgeting principles, for example, funding sources, long-term implications of capital planning, depreciation. That was always my bugaboo, was factoring in depreciation. Knowledge of reimbursement methodologies and their ramifications, the impacts on your organization. Managed care models, national and state programs, value-based versus fee-for-service. Knowledge of fundamental productivity measures. This is always fun. Hours per patient day, cost per patient day, units of service per labor hour. Those are very, very important. Knowledge of financial controls. And those have gotten stricter over the years. For example, internal systems for accounts payable, checks and balances, auditing principles. Next slide. Okay, knowledge of revenue generation activities, billing, coding, new ways to foster and get additional revenue, pricing strategies, knowledge of how to justify a business model. Okay, which of us have never had to develop a business model and justify it, right? Making a case for a new project to gain shareholder support, or whoever the shareholder and stakeholders in this are. Knowledge of potential impacts and consequences of financial decision-making on operations, healthcare, human resources, and the quality of care. Knowledge of asset management. There's that pesky depreciation again. Knowledge of financing, including funding sources, process of attaining credit and bond ratings and issuing bonds. Knowledge of philanthropy and foundation work. Example, source of funding for nonprofit organizations or to target for-profit organizations' activities. And knowledge of supply chain systems, structures, and processes. What's been interesting is, you know, with the pandemic, the impact on supply chains. What used to work the day before the pandemic didn't work the day after. And it'd be interesting, you know, this industry is going to debrief for years on the impact of the pandemic on our entire industry. And I would love to hear the logistics around the supply chain systems that needed to be tweaked, like immediately. That'll be fascinating. Okay, so rather than go into each of these in detail, again, what we're trying to concentrate in these sessions is to present some sample questions and how to look at them critically and how to derive the answers for all of these things. So on that note, I'm going to turn this over to Michael and Brick because they're the best at analyzing questions and how to derive the responses. So Sachin, next slide, please. And then I'm going to turn it over.
Hi, good morning. This is Michael, and question number 1 is under me. So the question is net income as a percentage of gross revenue and return on equity are the 2 important indicators of. So I'll give you a few, like a moment to answer, to probably put your answer in the chat box. Okay, next slide. The answer for that is profitability. So let's look into this further. So credit worthiness is not needed in your in profitability. It's needed for when you're applying for loans. Market strength is more on market analysis, and cash position is your daily cash position as an organization. So if you look at the statement, net income as a percentage of gross revenue, that is a definition of what we call net profit. So it is a definition of the net profit. So the net income or the net profit and the return of equity are 2 important indicators of financial of profitability. They are used to evaluate your profitability and efficiency of the company. So this will show your ability to produce maximum output with a minimal inputs. Next slide, Rick.
Okay. So when reviewing assets, which element is the most important indication of an organization's liquidity? And let's stop for a second and try to break this one down. What do you need to look for? Put it into the, someone just went ahead and put the answer. I didn't want the answer yet. Put it into the chat. What are the most important parts of that question that you're going to try to concentrate on? I see someone is saying liquidity, for sure. I can do what I do with my students. I just sit there and stare at them until I get more answers. Most important, yes. Liquidity again, indicators of liquidity. Yeah, that's for sure it. I think it's, again, your assets is another one that you want to look at, but liquidity is going to be the key thing. And with all the questions, unless they indicate otherwise, you're looking for the best answer. So probably most important will be one of those ones that's always there. So the question is, what's going to indicate our liquidity? And go ahead and put your answer in. I see some of you did already. Oh, well, okay, we have the answer. Thank you. I was going to get everyone else to do it, but C. So, you know, buildings and equipment are really not good for liquidity because it's hard to turn those into cash. Long-term investments are hard to turn into cash. Land is hard to turn into cash. The only one that you can turn into cash quickly is cash and long-term and short-term investments. That's going to be your definition of liquidity right there. Next slide.
So that's for me. Question number 3 is financial statements are important in order to identify, measure, record, and communicate in dollar terms the economic events and status of an organization. B, serves as a control mechanism for budgeting. C, provide detailed financial information for control at the departmental level. Or D, provide staffing guidelines to human resources management. So what do you think is the answer on this question? Okay, I can see A, B, C, A. Okay, so, okay. And then next slide, and the answer for the next slide, the answer is A. So let's look further into this question. So financial statements, you have in this question, you have to know the 2 different accounting systems, the financial accounting and the managerial accounting. There are 2 different accounting that we need to know. So the financial statements falls under the financial accounting. So the financial accounting, they follow the GAAP principle in reporting. So the GAAP principle, the generally accepted accounting principle. So if you can see in the answer letter, prices the function of a financial statements, which falls under the accounting financial accounting. Most the selections B, C, and D are I call it detractors. They are detractors because these are under managerial accounting. So as I said, the answer A summarizes the purpose of the financial statements which are important to stakeholders. And what are these financial statements? They are, it includes the balance sheets, the, what else?
Income statements.
Income statements, cash flows, and equities. So those are the different types of financial statements. So, for example, the outside stakeholders, they want this they want to audit this, the external auditors, the RAC auditors, and the like. Next slide, please. That's for Rick.
Now I'll unmute. Okay. In most cases, under the word most, the most favorable opinion an organization can receive is, and for this one you have to know the types of auditor reviews. You have to recognize that the opinion they're talking about there is not an op-ed page, but it's an auditor's opinion. So you have to have some basic knowledge then of what auditing is doing, and let's see your answers. I see a bunch of A's, I see some B. So let's see the right answer. Unqualified. Yeah, so Qualified means, okay, you're mostly doing okay, but there's a couple of concerns we have that we're going to mention. Adverse is, hi, welcome to Enron. Disclaimer is, we don't even trust the information you're giving us. So the unqualified means we trust your records. You did fine. There is nothing that we have any concerns about. We're giving you unqualified support. So the word unqualified kind of sounds negative, but it's actually the most positive one. So again, the key here is knowing what an auditor does, knowing the type of reports. And since they don't even tell you that the opinion here is auditor, you have to be able to recognize that. Next slide.
The purpose of the statement of operations or income statement is to A, present the financial position of the organization at a specific point in time. B, present the reasons net assets change from one period to another. C, present cash receipts or where they came from, cash disbursements and where they went during an accounting period. Or D, present the operating results of the organization over a period of time. So I'd like to see your answers for this. I can see A, I can see D. A. Okay, the next slide, please, for the answer. The answer is D. So this is a tricky question, actually, you know, the selections are, you know, tricky. There are two, you know, detractors word there: specific point in time and the over a period of time. So you have to for statement of operations or income statement, they are over a period of time, which can be either calendar year or your fiscal year over the time. So the statement of operations or income statements also represent the flow of organization revenue and expenses over a period of time. So that is the key to this question. So look at the you know, keyword, which is the over period of time. Next slide, please.
And extra credit right now if you know which statement they were talking about in A. Okay, so ratios that measure an organization's long-term liquidity. So first one is ratios. That should jump out the page. Okay, I'm going to look at a ratio. Ratios, of course, have two numbers you're comparing. And which ratio is it? Long-term liquidity. So this is a contrast to the other one that was talking short-term. So let's see the answers. So yeah, let's get the answer here. Next slide. It's the capital structure ratio. So you're kind of, I see Elizabeth just using her mouth saying, oh no, I almost had it, not quite. The liquidity ratio almost is a distractor. Well, we're talking about liquidity, so yeah, let's kind of do liquidity ratios. Profitability, you might think of, is going to be a long-term effort, but it's not long-term liquidity, because liquidity is your ability to turn into cash. Efficiency is just your current operation, so we can eliminate that, and we're left back with capital structure. And again, it's knowing what it means, knowing the phrase. So just making yourself a cheat sheet of ratios is probably a good idea, knowing what they do, just as your own study tools. Next slide, please.
The purpose of the strategic financial plan is to A, look into the future 10-year to determine what business will look like. B, translate the strategic plan into next year's objectives. C, convert the operating plan into the monetary terms. Or D, Identify resources that will be necessary to accomplish the strategic plan. Let's see your answers here. I can see some. Okay. Okay. Next slide for the answer, which is, I think, majority of the people got the correct answer, which is letter D. So the letter A, look into this future 10 year to determine what business will look like. This is part of the strategic plan. So translate the strategic plan into next year's objective. Also, part of the strategic plan. Convert the operating plan into monetary terms. This is budgeting. This is the process of budgeting. So the correct answer, identify the resources that will be necessary to accomplish the strategic plan. So therefore, strategic financial plan is a part of the umbrella for strategic planning for the organization that will look for the future of the organization, and that will force the executive management to identify the resources that they will be needing. Next slide, please.
Okay, a zero-based plan or budget could best be described as. So I'm looking for the key words there, and plan or budget, they seem to be using interchangeably, so it's a plan or a budget. And then zero-based is going to be a specific type of budget. So hopefully I recognize what a zero-based budget is, and then I'm going to go through the choices here. Yeah, zero-based clean slate, that's a possible. I'll put that as a yes for now. Adjusting expenses based on values, that sounds like it's a thing you're going to do during the year, not a plan. Allowing unencumbered funds to be transferred, I don't think that's fitting into the plan either. Limiting department managers to only the expenses they control, well, that sounds like good management technique, but it doesn't seem, again, like it's there. So I'm back to A, and I look at it and say, yeah, zero-based, clean slate, that seems to be the yes. It's the only one, and I could eliminate the others, even if I don't really know what a zero-based budget is. So it's, everyone put in their answers? I think everyone put in A, since I was hinting at it anyway. I guess we'll look at it and hopefully I'm right. Yes, I am. Good. Back to Michael.
That's mine. Question number 9 is managed care plans that exert the most control over providers and therefore save the most money in provider payments are A, managed indemnity plans, B, preferred provider organizations, C, closed panel HMOs, or D, point of service HMOs. Yeah, most of you can answer. Next slide, please. It is closed panel HMO. So just wanna just give a word of advice. So this question looks like you can see the answer right away, but I would still advise for you to go through all the selections, because sometimes there are some there's the best answer is there. So when you read the statement, you can see the word closed or exert and control in the question. Control over providers. So if you can control, and it's synonymous to control panel as HMO. So it's very pretty obvious, which is the answer is C. Next slide, please.
A productivity measure that takes into account the level of skill required to accomplish the task. So I'm looking for a productivity measure, and I'm looking for something about level of skill. All right, so those are the two things I'm concentrating on. Hourly rate doesn't refer to level of skill or productivity. Paid hours per unit of service, I don't think so. Scheduled hours per unit of service, yeah, maybe, because how many hours does it take to produce whatever I'm doing, whether it's an operation or an hour of nursing care or anything else. And then labor compensation per unit of service, well, maybe. Does that mean that I'm going to pay people more if they're productive? But it's really not. It's more of an efficiency thing. It's not getting into the productivity tied into the level of skill. So, what do you think it is? I see a bunch of people saying D. I see one person saying C. I've got a B here. Let's see what it is. It is D, labor compensation per unit of service. And if I had gotten this one, I probably would have basically been flipping a coin between C and D because I didn't know the answer, which is a good hint about the fact that finance is not one of my primary areas. But you're not going to necessarily know all of them, but if you can eliminate them, then it makes your guessing a little bit better. So by eliminating 2, I went from a 25% probability up to a 50% of getting the right answer, even without knowing what I'm talking about.
I'd like to offer my opinion on how to get to that labor compensation per unit of service response. Because again, if you're looking at the human resources, the staffing at your facility, almost by definition, your higher compensated employees will be the ones that have to have the greatest education, certifications, training. So that's how I got to that response, was if you're looking at what's the most expensive portion of a unit of service. If you've got, for example, an hour of nursing care, well, the RN or the RN nurse practitioner is going to have a lot higher compensation rate, usually, than, for example, the nursing assistant. So that's how I got to that response. Does that seem fair, Rick?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. I think if I was forced to pick, I would have picked E, though, and I would have been wrong. I will point out that when I was studying for the exam, I went through the 10 areas saying, okay, which ones do I really know? Which do I sort of know? Which ones do I really have to put time in? I put a lot of time into finance and I put a lot of time into quality because on a day-to-day basis, I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about either one. So I did more studying in those areas and I guess it paid off.
So you'll recall back in our general overview, we did provide a link and information regarding a competencies document that ACHE put together to help you identify your competencies. And it's quite lengthy and detailed, but everyone I've ever spoken to that has used it has found it to be invaluable in helping them to focus, understand early on where to focus their studying and their attention. So thank you for that, Rick. Okay, so I know we blasted through finance really, really quick. We're going to try to get through human resources as well, and hopefully leave some time at the end of the session for some questions. If you'd like any clarification on how we got to the answers, again, how we analyze the questions. So again, thank you, Michael and Rick, and they'll be back for the Michael and Rick show when we get to the sample questions for HR. So, and this is Sherry's absolute favorite, so I wish she could have been here today, but I will try to do my best. So, and for any of you that actually watched Rick's session before before tuning into this webinar this morning, he does a great job of breaking down, understanding human resource laws and regulations. You do need to know details about what these laws and regs actually do, the components of them. knowledge of recruitment and retention approaches and techniques. Here we go, knowledge of staffing methodologies and productivity management. Rick had indicated earlier on that you probably don't need a calculator, or I don't even know if they'll let you have one for the exam. There is some basic math, or used to be some basic math on just doing rough calculations on staffing or productivity management. Knowledge of performance management systems, performance-based evaluation, reward systems, disciplinary policies and procedures. Knowledge of employee motivation and development principles and techniques. Knowledge of employee satisfaction and engagement measurement and improvement techniques. Knowledge of compensation and benefits packages. Next slide. Knowledge of employee safety, security, health issues, for example, OSHA, or in case of California, CAHL, workplace violence. And this is a good point for me to remind you, when we're looking at this test, we're not looking at just California specific. So I shouldn't even have mentioned CAHL, but that's the one we're most familiar with. But again, this is on a national basis, so you don't need to worry about any state specific stuff. Knowledge of conflict resolution and grievance procedures. Knowledge of potential impacts and consequences of human resources decision-making on operations, finances, healthcare, and quality of care. Knowledge of selection techniques. Example, commonly available assessments and relative benefits. This is stuff, usually you'll be able to find benchmarks in the community to guide you in this. Knowledge of labor relations practices and strategies. Knowledge of the job design processes, and knowledge of succession planning models. So just a few things to focus on, and I hope that you also found this slide useful when you were approaching the human resources pre-recorded presentation. Okay, next slide. Here we go, back to the Michael and Rick show.
Question number 1, human resources. Which of the following is typically performed during a background check? A, verification of personal finances. B, involvement in religious or political activities. C, previous employment or education claims. D, prior performance evaluation. Okay, I can see some answers here. Yeah, okay. And survey says, next slide, please. C is the correct answer. So it is pretty obvious. Probably this is, for me, it's not really hard question. However, this question requires test takers to have, basic knowledge on the uniform guidelines on employee selection procedures. So there's actually a law that we need to be, as a test taker, you need to know the basic knowledge on that. So the guidelines incorporate a set of principles governing the use of employee selection procedures according to the applicable laws, federal laws. So it provides a framework for employers and other organizations for determining the proper use of tests and other selection procedures. Next slide, please.
Okay, the primary purpose of a well-developed performance appraisal system is, so I've got a couple of choices there on what I want to look at. Well-developed, that one doesn't really seem like it's going to add anything. Primary purpose is telling me, well, there might be some other hints of what it does, but I may have to decide what's going to be the primary, what's the answer that's most right. But mainly it's going to be looking at performance appraisal systems. So what is it that we do during performance appraisal? Okay. So again, I can go through looking at the true false here. Compare employees, yeah, maybe. Provide employees with feedback. That's not really appraising. ensure they understand the job. No, I don't know. I'm not sure there. Determine how well management engages employees. That one's probably false. I think I can. I don't know. Let's see. What do you think? I'm seeing a whole bunch of B's there. So do you think that's it? So our primary purpose is not to judge them, but to give them feedback, to give them guidance. And as a philosophy, that sounds pretty good. Let's get the answer. And B is the answer. Dr. Michael.
Next, question number 3. With growing frequency, employees who have been dismissed are resorting to lawsuits for redress. Keyword redress. In such cases, the court may find in favor of the plaintiff if the employer dismissed the plaintiff. If the employer dismissed the plaintiff for A, for cause but without using progressive discipline, B, without cause, C, before the end of the plaintiff's probationary period, D, for union organizing. Okay, I can see some answers, mixed answers, A, B, okay. So the answer here is without cause. You cannot dismiss employees without cause. So the question requires basic knowledge of human resources issues. So courts are increasingly finding in favor of employees who are dismissed without cause. So it should be just cause or good cause, means a fair and honest reasons of dismissing the employees. So you cannot also dismiss employees for union organizing activities, because that's the right under the National Labor Relations Act law. So
why isn't it D?
Sorry?
Why is it not D?
Why is it not D? Because mostly it's the keywords here is without cause and with cause. Mm-hmm. So the union organizing organizing activity is cannot be. You cannot terminate employee for organizing employee for organizing.
Yeah, so wouldn't that be the?
You want to add explanation to that?
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is that a key word that you kind of missed there is with growing frequency. And National Labor Relations Board has been around for a long time, and I think it's pretty settled law that you can't fire people for union organizing. Yeah. And that's why it's not necessarily the. Yeah. So I mean, both of those could be correct, but if we're looking for what's going on, what's the trend now, it would be B.
Yeah. Next slide.
Which of the following would be considered the most effective approach to preventing the need for employee disciplinary action? So most effective, okay, I'm looking for the top answer. Preventing the need for employee disciplinary. So it's not going to ask about a disciplinary action itself. I'm not talking about firing people or suspending them. I'm talking about preventing them. Okay, so having an accurate job description, well, yeah, telling people what they're doing may be good. Having employee orientation, maybe. Implementing a performance-based compensation system, that doesn't seem like it's tied to discipline. Giving managers small span of controls, tighter control, maybe less discipline, but I think it's going to be between A and B here. So which one is the most effective? And let's see your answers. I'm seeing A, I see B, I see C, I see a lot of Bs, I see some more As. And so what's the answer? The answer is A. And this is asking you to do the judgment of the most effective, because either one of those can help. A and B definitely can help. I don't think C and D would. I think we can eliminate those, but you're going to say, okay, what's the most effective? And it's probably a written statement of what you should do versus the orientation we gave you when you're already being overwhelmed with information. Next slide.
Number 5, which activity should precede the beginning of a recruitment process for a new employee? A, obtaining information from employees in a similar position to assess the validity of the job description. B, assessing the cost of various forms of recruitment. C, making a decision whether to emphasize internal or external recruitment. And D, conducting a job analysis. Yeah. Yeah, next slide for the answer. And the answer is D, which is conducting a job analysis, and majority of the respondents got the results. And just take note on this, the word precede, the beginning of recruitment process. Also, in some questions, it can be tricky about what comes first, job analysis or job description. So always the job analysis comes first before a job description, then employing the employment or recruitment process. Next slide, please.
The evaluation of senior management is best administered. So the two words that are jumping off there is we're evaluating someone. Okay, that's a good screen. And then we're evaluating senior management. So that's going to be more restricted than just our general evaluation. So criteria are established and known to both parties. Yeah, that sounds like a good one. On a scheduled periodic basis. Less so with senior, maybe, I'm not sure. After consultation with the executive committee of the board. Now that doesn't seem to be directly applying to, I know the whole board's there. In conjunction with salary adjustment. I don't know. I mean, it's usually done around the same time, but it doesn't have to be. So best administered. Huh. What do you think? I'm seeing some A's. I'm seeing a C. I'm seeing a B. I see another A. What is it? According to ACHE, the answer is 5. It is A. So senior management, you're less likely to do it on an annual basis. It might be based on what's going on at a current time. Consulting the executive board, probably not. They're going to be involved, but you don't necessarily consult with them. I think we can throw out salary, so we're back to A. Next slide.
The critical incidence technique of employee performance appraisal requires raters to A, select statements that fit the performance characteristics of individuals, select the highest and lowest performing employee in a work unit, C, record the degree to which specified behaviors are performed, or D, record behaviors of employees that are related to both good and poor performance. Let's see what's your answer on this. Any guess or selection? Okay, I can see C. I can see C. C, okay. Okay, D, okay. C, okay. So next slide, please, for the answer. The answer is D. So in this question, you have to have a basic knowledge on the different types of performance evaluation. So the critical incidence technique of employee appraisal is a performance appraisal, which means both good and bad performance should be included. So unlike a narrative essays or 360-degree feedback, critical incident types of appraisal records requires the whole year, and it should include the good or poor performance of the employee. The goal of this is to have a balanced look at the employee's performance. So the key to this is, to this question is the good and bad is the critical incidents technique of appraisal. Next slide, please.
According to Hertzberg's hygiene and motivators theory of management, and most people are going to look at that and say, oh my God, Hertzberg, I remember that. I had it in like org behavior or something, and that was a bunch of years ago, and I can't remember, is that the same as Maslow, or it's different? What is that? So hopefully you're going to remember the theory. Okay, so what are the choices there? So we're looking hygiene and motivators. So we know we're looking for something that motivates, maybe, or maybe demotivates. Okay, cleanliness of the workplace plays an important role. Absence of compensation could be a dissatisfier. The presence is not a motivator. Employees are motivated by money. Extrinsic, I can't talk. Extrinsic factors are prime motivators. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm trying to, it pops in my mind. I remember what Hertzberg is. He said that there's satisfiers and dissatisfiers, and the dissatisfiers are the thing that make you unmotivated, but once they're met, it just brings you to neutral. Then we got to bring in the intrinsic factors. So, okay, so knowing that now, I can eliminate D, because that's saying extrinsic factors are motivators. That's not true. Motivated by money, nope, that's back on his dissatisfier list. Cleanliness of the workplace plays an important role. Important, what does that mean? But B seems to hit it basically, that if you don't pay people enough, they're dissatisfied, but once you pay them a sufficient amount, sufficient in their minds, then money is not going to really motivate them anymore. So I think process elimination, I think I'm going to end up with B here. And looking over, we see some D's, some B's, and B is the answer. And just for the record, I really did remember what Hertzberg said. And you will too now if it pops up. Next slide.
That's it.
Oh, that's it. All right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I believe that's the end of the sample questions for that.
All right.
Thank you, Michael and Rick. Did a great job of helping break down what to look for. And Rick, one of the things that I saw coming up on the chat is several of you came up with the correct answer, but then changed it at the last minute to an incorrect one. And Rick's recommendation is go with your gut. More times than not, your first thought, your first feeling of a correct response is usually correct. I remember that also from back in school. So thank you for that, Rick. So we really did blast through these relatively quickly. When we send out the supporting materials for this session, I will include another set of sample questions. And then before the end, as we close out our series, we will be providing a sample test of 230 questions. It's an older test that ACHE put out, but again, it works very, very well for understanding how the questions are structured and how to get to the answer. The questions themselves later may be different. So if you feel that we're not giving you enough questions, fear not, we will provide some more. Are there any specific questions about what we covered today? Without going into...
Can I add something to what you just said?
Yeah, sure.
When you get the actual practice test, you probably want to do it as a test. So do it in a quiet room, no interruption, timed if you need it timed, and get a sense of how you do. But afterwards, or with other questions you can find online or anywhere else, do this type of breakdown. See if you can identify really consciously what are the keywords I'm looking for, which answer is obviously false that I can eliminate, and don't worry about time on it. Really spend some time just trying to figure out your process of coming up with the right answer, and then you can decide whether you got the right answer or not. But use the practice sessions in a way that you can improve your test take skills, not just the knowledge of the areas.
And an additional probably advice is when you're taking the exam and the question is hard and you cannot figure out the answer, don't spend much time on that. Just leave it, mark it to be reviewed at the end of the whole exam. So because it's yeah.
Okay, so I did see coming across chat, somebody has the flashcards that ACHE offers, and they are fabulous. I've had a chance to open them up and take a look, and I'm seeing Michael. We have some time. If anybody, once we sign off, if anybody wants to stay on and just watch a sample. A presentation of how the flashcards work, that'll be great. And so Michael will plan on doing that after we sign off. And then I'm seeing someone on chat, seeing a pattern in the questions. Oh, thanks for discussing the techniques of breaking down the questions for us. If anything, other than just providing the PowerPoint presentations that summarizes what ACHE already has out there about what they're looking for, and as many sample questions as we can come up with. Several of these come from the online seminars. Michael has been great in terms of getting us some of the most recent sample questions. The structure and how to read them is the absolute most important thing. And so I think Michael and Rick did a great job of that. And if you get one piece of information out of all these sessions, in addition to everything that we're going to throw at you, it's how to look at the questions. Use the assessment to determine where your weaknesses are in some of the subject areas. Again, ACHE offers some resources on their FACHE site. Again, on our closing session, if we have enough time, I'll actually walk you through it if you need help finding those particular references and links. So does anybody have any other specific questions? I don't know, Sachin, are you seeing anything that we can help answer? Oh, so somebody asked about a passing score. That's true, they don't give a specific score, but they will tell you right away if you've passed. Is that correct, Michael? You find out right away.
That's correct.
And how do they tell you what, if you didn't, do they tell you why?
You will get a summary printout, and by the knowledge area. It's like a scale of 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. So it will show you everything, and it will just give the summary you pass or not. So you will not get the specific. Actually, it's your knowledge is based on, will be measured based on the scale.
I do see a question about, there used to be a practice exam on the ACHE site. Is there an updated practice exam available? No, technically it's not updated. The one we are presenting is an older one. ACHE has taken it down because in the past, several participants have said that they didn't find it useful, and the material is old. Again, we indicated that, test questions are replaced periodically. So every 4 years, it's practically a new test. But we do feel as a committee that they're useful for seeing how they're structured and for breaking them down exactly the way we've explained today. So that's the practice exam I'm going to be well, that we're going to be sending out will be the 230 question sample test from a few years ago. So again, the material may not be all up to date, but we will provide that for you as a study guide. Let's see what else. Oh, Michael, did you already answer this? Where
Yes,
you mentioned you could mark?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it's an option.
And then when you go back, does it just summarize which ones you still have marked, so you don't have to go all the way to the beginning?
That is correct. So it will just show all. If you mark 25 or 30, then it will just show those marked ones.
Being
Okay,
the
somebody-
totally paranoid type, I not only mark some of them to just confirm or to spend more time on, but I also went through and double checked that I clicked off the answer that I meant to click off. You know, unfortunately, there was plenty of time, so I had no problem with having time to just go through it all, not changing the answers, but just making sure I read it correctly.
That's a good point.
So question here is, if you don't mark a question, can you still go back and review? If you will not mark the question, it will not allow you to proceed. So you have to mark the question to be reviewed later on. So.
Oh, okay, good to know. I didn't know
It's good
that.
so you don't miss one by mistake.
So that you will not skip something.
Yeah.
I am seeing several people are interested in seeing a demonstration on the flashcards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open it up and get it started, Michael, and then share my screen or I'll give you remote control of my screen so we can show them. They're absolutely fabulous. In the meantime, I'm going to let the rest of you answer any other questions that are coming up.
Well, I'm not sure. Can we purchase it through the CAHL site? Can we get a commission or something, or just go right to ACHE? I think it's ACHE.
So I'm sorry, what?
Purchasing the flashcards, can you purchase them from CAHL or from ACHE's website?
Oh, ACHE. They're part of that study bundle.
Ah, okay.
I mean, you can order them individually or as part of the study bundle.
Okay, but it's ACHE's website.
And they,
And,
let's see, I'm gonna have to take myself off.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. There you go. This is what they look like. Is it mirrored or is it? There you go.
no, you got it right.
Okay. They are absolutely, I wish I'd have had these one back in my day. It's basically, you have a definition that you can read, and then on the flip side, it's got the answer. Or you can start with the answer, think up the definition, and see if it's correct. So each knowledge section is reflected on here. So again, I'm gonna, Michael, I'm gonna go ahead and get my account open and started. Unfortunately, we can't share the account with everyone, but at least we can show you some of it. So again, I'm off. I'm going to open this up. I didn't close the meeting, did I?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Those of you that do have the flashcards, the digital version is available through a program called Quizlet. So that's what we're getting to right now.
And you may find that you're sitting there on your phone anytime you've got 5 minutes to spare, waiting for an elevator, whatever. Okay, it's on my phone. I can just run through some questions.
Okay, so we did finance today. Hold on. I'm getting there, Michael. Ah. Finance was our more difficult one, so that's the one I'm looking for right now. Okay. Okay, Michael, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, Sachin, can you stop sharing yours? Or you did already?
I did stop.
Okay. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
And I am going to give you, if I can find a way to give you, let's see. Hold on. Oh, I'm going to give you remote control. There you are. You got it?
No, I cannot. I cannot control it.
It says remote controlled. There it is.
Okay. So this is the Quizlet version of the flashcard, correct, Nora? And
Yeah.
you'll be able to have this access once you, or once you buy the flashcard. And,
Whoops.
right? You can.
Whoops.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Are you still seeing it?
Yes, I'm still seeing it. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can have access to the Quizlet once you buy the flashcard. So there are several ways that you can you can learn from the Quizlet. It can be through the flashcard, write, spell, and test. So there's a way, depending on how your mode of learning, you can or method of learning, you can do the different modes. So that we will just show you the examples using the flashcard. So flashcard. Let me go. I cannot control Nora.
Sorry. Did I take away?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Sorry.
What do you, yeah, I cannot. So
Did I take it away?
yes. It says you are controlling Nora Power's screen, but I cannot move. I cannot you know,
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing again.
yeah.
Hold that thought. This is what happened to me last week. I'm so apologetic, everyone, that I am the weak link here. I apologize. There it is. I'm going to share. I'm going to give you remote control. There.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, so Quizlet. So let's where, okay. Flashcards, then we will look at the cannot move. So this is the finance, right? That you have already chosen for us to
Yep.
demo. So
Mhm.
let's shuffle it. I'll shuffle it. Then the you can choose either, as Nora said a while ago, either you can look at the answer first, then the explanation or definition. So I think this one is answer is the answer for the definition of this the answer to this definition. So no. So deferred revenue. So operating income plus non-operating income minus total expenses is excess of revenue or expenses. So it's just flipping back and forth. Then
Could I add something there, Michael?
sure.
When you're using this, I mean, a lot of the cards here are more for testing yourself on the content knowledge, not the test taking technique. But when you're doing it, think about, is it better to hear the definition and try to come up with a phrase, or is it better to look at the phrase, try to come up with the definition? Try them both ways. See which one is going to be more helpful to you, and or one time through do it one way, the next time other way. But the program does allow you that option of starting with either one.
Even better, Michael, you can show them the test option. You can create tests, and you can choose tests with different options. You can have written questions, or if you go further down,
test questions or matching questions or multiple choice. So you can utilize all of this method. So if let's, for example, this one. So what's the answer? The technically, the record of all a firm's transaction often refers to the fixed and collective assets such as depreciation that must be allocated to operational units. Any guess? So once you answer all of this, the written questions and the matching questions and multiple.
there's some true.
You have to go.
I'm sorry. There's some true. Yeah, true, false also.
Then you go all the way and check your answers. Just click the blue button, check answers. There you go. It will tell you that if you got it right or not, and it will give you the right answer as well. So those are the different methods that you can use this Quizlet. But for me, when I was using, I used the flashcard, there's no Quizlet version yet. That was 3 years ago. There was no Quizlet of the flashcard. So the flashcard actually are color coded by body of knowledge. So that's how I just use by color. Then just keep on reading back and forth, which is Rick said. You can do either the answer first or the definition first, and just get the keywords. That's what I did.
So I can't see chat because, again, I'm technologically naive. But for those of you that ordered the flashcards, did you know that you have digital access, and did ACHE provide that to you? And if yes, have you used the digital option?
I'm seeing one person saying yes.
Oh, good, good.
Yes, 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 and it's great.
Oh, good, good. So do we want to do a couple of more, just the multiple choice on, just pick a new test?
Yeah.
Hold on. I think I can't control anymore. Okay. You can just go ahead, Nora, and just do it, because I'm having trouble controlling the Quizlet right now.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Just go ahead and,
Oh, it's just waiting for you. Okay, did I stop sharing? Okay, looks like you've got it back. Except I stopped sharing, right? I can't see text, so Rick, can you see my screen, or is it gone?
Yeah, I think you have to dismiss it and then go back to the to create a new one. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael, are you controlling it again?
No, it's not out. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you want us to do?
Yeah, go back to
with multiple choice.
Multiple choice. So let's go to the test, under test. Then the multiple choice is this one. Okay, let's go to, let's do the multiple choice. Number 1, an analysis to determine the volume point at which a project will cover its costs can be helpful to organizations considering new projects, developing a business plan, or formulating a pricing strategy. Unrestricted net asset, net present value, managerial accounting, break-even analysis. Any, I'll try D. How's that? Hello?
We have one person saying D,
Okay.
2 counting you.
Well, and okay.
There's more.
Okay.
Yep, more Ds.
Okay. Another D. Okay, good. Yes. Okay. So second, number 2 is an entry to the patient ledger of the charge for a specific healthcare service. No longer a meaningful measure. Okay. Net revenue, gross revenue, fixed budgets, balance sheet. Any answer? Gross revenue. Okay. B. Okay, there are 2 B's, so I'll take that, 2 B's. Then number 3, ratios that measure efficiency by comparing revenue to assets. This is a ratio, revenue to assets. Liquidity ratio, excess of revenue over expenses, profitability ratios, or asset efficiency ratios. Oops. I cannot see the chat now. I don't know why. I don't know what the answer
Okay, we have a bunch of Bs, I think.
is. Okay, B's. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Number 4. I don't know why I marked that. Sorry. So number 4 is a statement that shows an organization's financial position at a specific point in time. Any, yeah, D, okay. Balance sheets. D, okay, I'll take D in that. Then number 5 is the process of converting the operating plan into monetary terms. I think I mentioned this a while ago. Yep. C, yep. C, let's take C. So you want me to get the answer now? Let's see.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see if we, okay. Let's go back to the multiple choice. Oops. There you go. Break even, number 1 is correct. Number 2 is gross revenue. Number 3 is asset efficiency ratio.
Which someone said in the chat, someone had the right answer there.
Oh, okay. So, and number 4 is balance sheet is correct. Number 5 is budgeting. So 4 out of 5. Yay.
So if we go back to the one that was answered incorrectly, number 3.
Yeah.
So asset was basically.
The correct answer is asset efficiency ratios.
Yeah.
Okay, can I?
And by looking at, I'm sorry, Rick.
No, go ahead.
By looking at the question, you can that's the only answer that actually includes the word asset.
Well, the other is, though, the question says ratios, and that one didn't include ratios, so that could have been eliminated from that.
Yeah, there we go. And efficiency, there we go. Ratio, efficiency, assets. Bingo, there it is.
Yeah.
See, so you even learn from incorrect answers. There it is.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so I think we have 5 minutes to 11:30. You wanna?
Yeah, let me go ahead and I'm going to take control back.
Okay.
And port control. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, hard to believe it's 11:25. Fewer technical challenges than last week, so I owe that all to the team here, not me. So thank you for bearing with me. So how do all of you feel about today's session? I want answers from each and every single one of you. Just kidding, just kidding. In general, did you feel that we covered the material, or at least understanding how to approach the questions? That was our #1 goal. That, and like I said, try to feed you as much info that we've got. And again, sorry if we're blowing up your inbox. And again, for those of you who haven't been receiving anything, I suspect the best email address to get to is the CAHL@gmail.com, one that I presented on the first, on our first updates and FAQ slide. You'll be getting all of these in an email probably early next week. They come out from Tamara, who's the administrative assistant for our chapter. So she's back on Monday. Will be coming out on Monday. I am aiming at getting the information out for next week's session, either by the end of day tomorrow on Sunday or sometime early on Monday. Okay, so Rick, can you read any of the chats?
Yeah, got some comments. I'm just looking for any questions that we have, and I'm not seeing any specific questions. Pointing out the request that we have that for people, please to post any questions they have, and we'll collect and publish them as a frequently asked question. People were saying helpful in terms of how to eliminate the improbable answers, which is a goal there.
Did I see somebody say that they didn't? I'm sorry.
Someone else pointing out issues with Zoom and the Zoom link. So do we have a solution on that? Is the Zoom, this is going to be the same link as next week, right?
So the links that you received when you initially registered should be the same links that you used from last week's work for each of the sessions. So let me know at Nora, at powersn@aetna.com. I'll write that down.
How do you spell it?
Yeah. Oh, here Sachin is giving this to everybody. Okay, there's the link right there to save it. Okay, there's some people giving advice on how they did it. Okay. And there's some more information from Sachin. Thank you.
One of the advantages of the test center is that you won't have cats jumping in your lap during your test taking. The disadvantage of working at home.
That is such a stress reliever, Rick. All of us.
But, but during, well, unless when she bites you and scratches you, but yeah, but at least you don't have that during the test.
Are there any other specific questions out there? I'm not, okay, there we go. I finally can see. I think I'm seeing, yeah, there we go. I'm starting to see them now. Okay, well, I tell you what, I'm not going to end the session yet. People are welcome to log off, and I'm willing to stay on for a little bit longer. Can't promise that I'll be technically savvy, but please, thank you for attending. Thank you for taking time out of your Saturday, and be on the lookout for some additional information. Thank you very much.